Hi viewers, I'm really excited for yet another episode of the AI People where thinkers and builders are humanizing AI. Today I have with me Avni. Thanks Avni for joining us. Avni works at the intersection of technology, fashion and e-commerce. Avni, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Of course, thanks for having me. Hi everyone, I'm Avni Oswal. I am the head of digital at a luxury shoe brand called Elizé. Previously I was at Macy's, big department store, and Ipsy, which is a beauty subscription service. So I've been in the retail space for a while. And I also run a retail exec community called Catalyst, where leaders from various brands get together to exchange insights, inspire each other, and keep up with all the AI trends.
Awesome, thank you Avni. And I know you are coming from National Retail Federation, the biggest retail show in the planet. So I wanna pick your brain on what really caught your attention, what really impressed you from an AI and fashion perspective.
Well, NRF is the place to be. At the beginning of the year, it's the place where you really see how much we've come forward year over year. And this year I saw, compared to last year, that a lot of retailers and brands have moved from experimentation around AI to actually executing on AI. I saw brands and retailers talk about how shopping assistance, inventory planning, merchandising, personalization are all being affected by AI, and how these new technologies and solutions are actually impacting the workflows, whether it comes to merchandising, inventory, customer decision making, and beyond. So we've moved from just demos to actual execution in the industry.
That's great. And what would be some of the key takeaways for the retail industry coming out of NRF from an AI adoption perspective?
Yeah, so key takeaways are, I think shopping assistants have become very real. There's a gazillion solutions out there, but I think now they're finally going beyond just being a chatbot. If it feels like a chatbot, it's not where we want it to be. If it's actually feels like it's helping, then we're at the right place. And what I mean by that is actually it's helping with the decision making. AI should help kind of reduce friction and decision fatigue, especially when it comes to fashion. We get into analysis paralysis. So if the solution of a shopping assistant can actually go beyond basic filtering by asking size, color, can actually talk to and give you solutions around the size, comfort, climate, occasion, these more rich ways of how we shop. If we can help with that, that's where it's really going to revolutionize the customer experience. And we saw a bunch of solutions getting adopted in that space. So it's impacting conversion and AOV. So that's just one use case. Of course, it's being used across all the workflows when it comes to demand planning, supply chain, all the way to the end of how things get returned and back into the flow. So you can talk about all those use cases, but I just drew that one out as an example of how far we've come from just talking about things like that a year ago to actually seeing it implemented on the various brand websites and experiences.
That's great. Fashion, retail, e-commerce, especially since they are at the vanguard of customer experience, they've always been trendsetters when it comes to technology adoption. So I would like to get your thoughts on what AI trends that you personally think will have a big impact on the industry and also the work that you are driving for your organization.
So one thing I want to start off with is AI isn't killing creativity. It's just being used as a fuel to scale that creativity further. AI is being used early on in the design process to be able to analyze all the data that's out there, in whether it comes to social trends and visuals, to actually pull out what silhouettes, colors are trending and popular. So from there, designers can actually use it to iterate on concepts and designs faster and be able to test it in the market faster. Just everything from coming up with a creative process, it's just the fuel is making us that much faster in our iteration. And I have to say, AI is not gonna really create the iconic product, but it's definitely gonna serve up what's popular. But when it comes to, it's actually humans still very much needed to then decide what within that is actually iconic and what's on brand. So with both AI and human creativity working together, it's an exciting time.
Yeah, that's one of the questions that most people have across professions. Like, is AI going to be a co-pilot, or is AI going to disrupt and take away your job? But it seems like, at least in fashion, creative professionals and designers are warming up to the idea of how can they infuse AI into their workflows. That's great to hear. Another element or another topic that I really was zeroing in on was about agents. All industries are adopting agents, but given fashion industry and the retail industry as a whole has a lot of touch points with customers, how do you see agents playing a role in making the customer experience even more frictionless and enhancing the outcomes for customers?
Agents are as good as the data is fed. So on the back end for the brand side, I think clean structured data is a prerequisite for any sort of agent or any sort of AI solution to add value. I think that's kind of table stakes now. Everyone should clean up their data side of things for all these use cases and solutions to work as they're promised to drive value. On the customer experience side, as I mentioned, we're already seeing some of the agentic workflows come through in the customer experience and helping with the decision making around products. On the back end, these agents can be better at demand planning, supply chain, as I already mentioned, the creative process. But again, it needs to, brand leaders need to figure out what their organization is ready for from like a data readiness perspective, but also a human productivity perspective. Where can they input and infuse these workflow enhancements, let's say, is very critical, and that's kind of on a case-by-case basis. I think of AI as the fuel. So whenever I talk to my colleagues or people in the industry about how to view AI, it should be more thought of, as I said, a fuel co-pilot that's only going to make you that much more productive. And it's very important to upskill yourself, learn the tools in your domain of how various people are using AI, how you can use AI to make yourself 10x more productive, because it is a conversation about productivity. We definitely know many retailers are working with less workforce, but being able to impact, like the expectation is you need to be able to produce what you were times more, because that's just kind of the expectation now. So I really am encouraging everyone to upskill their skills using AI and really staying curious and experimenting with it in small ways. A lot of it is, in terms of AI adoption across the organization, is bottoms up, where teams are kind of looking at tools that make sense for them in their day-to-day workflow. But a lot of it is also top down of like, someone adopting Copilot across the organization. So, and it's kind of amalgamation of both that's really happening. There's no one way any sort of organization is doing it. I talk to various leaders and ask them like, okay, how is AI actually getting implemented in your organization? Who's making decisions? Do you have a governance body? All these questions are very important, because automation without governance is going to lose trust. So it's very important to have governance in place, especially when it comes to like AI as they interact with your customers. You need to have guardrails in place around whether it's pricing or sustainability promises, fit promises, because you don't want to lose customer trust. So you can automate all you want, but please have guardrails in place, because that's really about protecting your brand, especially when it comes to edge cases. So humans still being at the center is very critical to make sure the brand is not losing what it really stands for. The trust needs to be there.
That's really important, and we went through this wave with digital marketing, right? Like brands suddenly started showing up in multiple platforms. How do they ensure consistency in messaging, in value proposition, and then the social media, boom, changed everything on its head. Now brands don't, create that cohesive messaging. It's the people who can go and express how they think about the brand. So brands now have to collaborate with the people with agentic. It's a whole new ball game. So I think you did a pretty good job talking about how brands can have some control while they are also showing up on some of these agentic platforms, even like ChatGPT, search for facility, etc. So thanks for summarizing that. I do want to talk about, you said 10x productivity. That's really the value that all these tech companies are selling, businesses across industry, even in retail as well. I know you're also a consultant working with a lot of business leaders. I want to understand whether AI is driving real business impact at this point in time. What is your take? Is it just like snake oil that all these salespeople are selling to the enterprise tech leaders, or is it really something that businesses can derive value out of?
No, it's definitely driving real business impact as I mentioned, in the use cases as it makes sense in the organization. For instance, around personalization. AI is really good at personalization. For me, I've seen it post-search. Once you know the customer intent, then it can really change the experience based on what you've shown it as your intent to deliver the best value. So AI is only good as the data it has, the intent of the user it has. So all that still stays important because AI is not going to magically know. I mean, of course it needs to have all that data, whether it's you search for it or there's some other way it has known why you're coming, what you're looking for on ChatGPT or other LLMs or on the website. So I think data still remains key. It's definitely driving value when it comes to conversion and AOV. If as I mentioned, if it's doing some of the key components right. So going back to the shopping assistant example, if it knows your user intent, it can go beyond the basic filters and the linear journey we have currently on, filter by size and color. But now if you can feed it in natural language, I'm looking for something postpartum, I'm going for this occasion, this is the climate, what is the best dress for me? So now you can give it more intents or attributes that it can really filter and get you to the right decision faster, but also in a thoughtful way. So if we can do that, then that's great. And I think that's the promise that it has. And of course, it can have actual business impact because you're improving conversion and ARV.
That's awesome. And as we move to this new digital landscape, a commercial model, new terms get thrown around. One such term is AEO. I don't know what that actually means. If you can break it down. I heard about SEO, which is search engine optimization. I thought this was or safe as long as they got the SEO part figured out when it comes to organically showing up in search engines. But what is AEO?
So AEO stands for answer engine optimization. Answer engine being all the LLMs we're using to get answers. So AEO is just another layer of SEO. For AEO, you just have to have your data ready. AEO can only recommend what it knows about your product. And how does it know things about your product? It's your backend data and what you're feeding it. And not everything, you might not even show it to your customer, but your metadata in the back needs to have additional things that you might not want to have in your PDP. But the more data, direct data, helpful data that you have will help you show up in the right instances for the customer. So that's really what it is. And yes, everyone's working on it, but again, it goes back to get your data center house clean because structured data, attributes, pricing, fit notes, styling guidance, all that needs to be fed in for it to be able to then recommend you in the right places. So create that content, structure it well. If you don't have it already, just keep working on it. We're all on this journey. It's an ongoing thing.
That's awesome. It's been a wonderful conversation. I'm very thrilled to hear that AI is making fashion more fashionable.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Avni, for being with me today on the talk show.
Thank you.
And viewers, if you really enjoyed this video, do like, share, and comment. And please hit the subscribe button.